I get back on the 11th, but I'll be on an airplane for about 8 hours.
Yeah, I know how that goes.
Cruising with the Ryans on YouTube is connecting to audio.
How is Dennis Ryan cruising again?
No, he's land bound.
There he is.
Orders of his doctor.
Yeah, doctor's orders.
Oh,
Have a little ticker problem again.
no.
I have an operation on the 19th of July. 13th? Okay. Boss told me 13th.
A little stint job.
Yeah, thank God this time they weren't gonna break me open again. So my cruising days are over till August.
Why?
We have everybody except Karen.
We look pretty good.
I don't see Karen. Is she here?
I don't see her. No, I don't see her.
She's logging on right now.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, there she is. All right, we're going to start on time.
Look at this turnout. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah. Good afternoon, everybody. Calling to order the ONCC Executive Committee Special Meeting, Monday, June 27th, 2022 at 1 p.m. Mara, will you call the roll?
Bonunzio,
Here.
Karen Robles,
Here.
Ray Cooper,
Here.
Evan Summers,
Present.
Dennis Ryan. Was here. There. We know
He is here.
Yeah, maybe he's having technical issues. Ralph Sorsey,
Here.
Frank Gazer,
Here.
Jennifer Kelsall.
Here.
Should I call Aaron or should I call Commissioner Ree?
Commissioner.
Both. Hi.
Hi, Commissioner. Thank you for being here. And Ernie Kosauer.
Here.
Okay, we have
I'm
full
here, by
attendance.
the way, I was having trouble with my audio.
No problem. Thanks, Dennis. I got you.
All right, do I hear, sounds like we got a quorum. Do I hear a motion to approve the May 2nd, 2022 ONCC Executive Committee meeting minutes?
Almost so.
Got to call the roll again.
Oh, we need a second.
I'll second, sorry.
Oh,
Okay.
I thought,
Joe Nunzio,
yes.
Karen Robles,
Yes,
Ray Cooper,
Yes.
Evan Summers,
Yes.
Dennis Ryan,
Yes.
Ralph Sorsey,
Yes.
Brian Gazer,
Yes.
Jennifer Kelsall,
Yes.
Commissioner Ree,
Yes.
Ernie Kosauer.
Abstain.
Okay. Okay, motion carries.
All right, next on the agenda is Fly-Quiet Committee update. Karen, I think you're on.
yes. So at our Fly Quiet Committee meeting last week, the committee unanimously approved advancing a new Fly Quiet program that includes alternative B3, as well as a number of procedural, operational, and implementation items. So we were very excited to wrap up many years of hard work. We also held an in-person open house that was sparsely attended. So we had a few people and Marnie Pike, but just kind of continuing our efforts to educate the commission members on the work that we've done in anticipation of a full commission vote. So.
Okay, are there any questions or comments? We'll go to number 5, FAA.
Sorry,
Oh,
Karen,
wait.
yeah, did you want to talk about the special meeting?
Yeah, so we do need to hold we would like to hold a special full commission meeting for the purposes of approving the Fly Quiet program, because our next meeting isn't until like the second week in September, and it's June. We'd like to not add 3 months delay. Unfortunately, Cafe Le Cave does not have any Fridays available for us. So was wondering if the group, the exec committee, would be open to, I think it was Wednesday, August 3rd. Is that correct, Maura? It was a Wednesday in
I
August.
think you were not available on the 3rd.
Oh, you're right. Yeah.
17th was the date we were looking.
17th. Sorry. Yes. Wednesday, August 17th was one of the 2 dates they had available. So Fran's got her hand up.
And
Oh. Oh,
It's just her writing pose.
there isn't any way we could get this done sooner, is there? Like in July?
Well, I think that was part of the discussion. We started to run into some time off issues where people were going on vacations. And so the concern was that we might have trouble getting a quorum, whereas if we looked at August, I think people are starting to get back for the start of school. Like I know I'm gone the last week in July, but I don't know what everyone, and there were some other dates that we knew weren't good for people for the same reason. So
August,
I'll be on vacation.
so I'm just looking at the time frame from August 17th to our regular scheduled meeting is only like, what, 2 weeks?
I think it's 3 weeks
3
because of
weeks?
Labor Day.
Okay,
We're off a week and like we're back
Yes,
a week
you're
in
right.
September. So
I've got a crazy idea.
Okay, let's hear it, Evan.
So the governor's executive order still permits for virtual meetings. Is there any reason we couldn't have the ONCC meeting virtual as soon as possible? And that way we would get it as approved as quickly as possible? If time is truly of the essence, and I believe it is.
I agree with that 100%.
The only issue I have with that is that in-person meetings will give everybody a chance to assimilate everything that's being said. So if they have questions, they might feel more comfortable. These kinds of meetings tend to be
Fair, I don't disagree with you.
Yeah.
These are not the most personable
conducive,
ways.
yeah.
But what if we maybe paired it with in another additional informal open house prior to that virtual meeting to allow for the human interaction to take place?
We need to keep in mind to our next agenda item, the FAA TAP EA, that week is kind of taken up. So I don't think we could really do anything. I don't think we should do anything until after that week kind of festivities.
the other thing I'll say, Evan, is I'm open to whatever format we can get this done in. So I'm open to that. We have reached the people we're going to reach through our in-person and virtual open houses and quadrant meetings. I think at this point, we need to be doing some one-on-one outreach to those members who haven't engaged with us yet. So I do want to give ourselves a little bit of time to get that done. But I think with Maura's plan, giving us the next 2 or 3 weeks to kind of do that outreach should be more than sufficient.
I can go back to the drawing board and see if I can find, a closer meeting space on a closer date to, I can look at other locations.
Part of the question was, is everyone open to it not being a Friday morning?
I prefer it not be a Friday morning personally. In the summer, I know that Fridays and Mondays, especially this season, seems more like Mondays as well. People are just aren't around. It's easier for me, and I think for a lot of my colleagues, to find a Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday to meet on than it is a Monday or a Friday.
And we could have it any day we want, since it's a special meeting anyway. It's going to be.
Yeah.
Ernie's got his hand up, Joe.
Yes.
I'll throw out another crazy idea. Are we still in discussions with the FAA about them doing a presentation to ONCC directly about the TAP EA?
Yes, but it is virtual.
Okay.
We do have a date for that. It is July 15th. I was going to talk about that in the TAP EA discussion, but they have offered to do a presentation on July 15th, but it's virtual.
What if we
My
did
only,
both on the same
my,
day?
my only thought was if we, to try to keep people from having more and more meetings during the summer, if we could put the two meetings together, would anybody be opposed to that?
There's no problem with that, just knowing full well it's gonna be a marathon then.
Yeah, it's a lot. I think it's a lot for people to take in one sitting.
Yeah, Chairman, I also want to caution you, right? The TAPIA contemplates a continuation of existing Fly Quiet such as it is, and everything about Fly Quiet 21 is the future. And so I want to make sure that the members don't get confused about what is happening when.
Yeah,
Aaron, while we have you, before we try to move mountains and find a schedule that works, does vote approving Fly Quiet proposed earlier expedite your submission to the FAA at all, or do you guys have a different timeline?
No, we'll take several months to get the package ready. So it would not affect our timeline.
So
Once you approve it, like Landry Brown has been compiling all of the meeting materials and your meeting minutes for quite some time. So we'll just keep adding to it. So I think we still have a fair amount of work to do to get it ready for submittal. So I think whether you meet in July or August is not going to materially affect the timeline.
well, then we'll do it in August. We'll do it as planned.
Commissioner, while we have you, can you release your consultants to try to do a little pre-work on that to get any turned around
course.
quicker?
Of course, we absolutely will. Thank you.
You're the best. Thank you.
If we're able to accommodate whatever, we'll be there.
All right, what was that date again? August?
August 17th.
All right, why don't we just do it August 17th?
Okay.
As long as Chicago is going to be doing what they need to do before that time anyway, as I assume it's going to be approved, we all assume that. And if the date doesn't matter, let's just do it in August then. And that's the only
Is there
thing.
any way we can do a hybrid meeting where it could be Zoom and live?
I'm afraid we don't have the setup for that.
Okay.
Yeah, you would need TV cameras and all kinds of stuff to
Yeah.
pull stuff like that
Yeah.
off.
Okay.
We need a motion
so-
for the 17th?
I don't believe so. It was just kind of a discussion it wasn't a vote kind of thing. It was just kind of informal poll.
Is anybody opposed to the 17th of August?
That's me because I won't be able to be there.
You might have a tough time getting school districts in. That's usually the first week back. But I don't know if that'll affect your quorum or not.
All right, so one of the things I think we should think about is that's a very important historic vote. So we need to look at what can proxies be allowed, right? We have not talked about proxies for this kind of voting for a long time, right? We've got an election tomorrow and there's early voting, but I don't know that we have such a thing for ONCC, but you know, we want as many people to vote as possible on this big decision. It may not be something we can work through, but just definitely something for thought.
Can you elaborate?
Well, I don't remember if the bylaws allow for proxies. So that's probably something you and I need to take a look at. Right.
So it would be someone other than the,
Then like the designated alternate or whatever the language is.
Right. So for example, if Dennis is absent, can his village president attend for the village of River Grove in order to cast the vote? Right.
Yes, he could do that.
Yes.
I don't see why.
Yes.
You wouldn't be able to.
When I hear proxy, Aaron, I think of the village of River Grove giving Evan Summers their vote, so I get to vote in a.
That's actually what I was thinking about, but I forgot as soon as somebody said alternates, and I was like, oh yeah, there's
Yeah,
more than
we-
one of you.
We
Yeah, I was
cleaned
gonna
all
say
that
that-
up.
yeah,
Evan, I was going to say the same thing. What would prohibit one member of voting for several other members?
We cleaned
mean,
that up
there's
in the
none of them.
bylaws. Yeah, we had that situation and we cleaned it up and said that each person designated by their respective organization can only represent a single organization.
Right.
Yeah,
So,
so Evan's right. That makes my issue of proxies moot because I forgot that there's more than one person for each village.
Right. And the chief elected officer or official of each member is the primary representative, and then they designate other representatives. So
Dennis, on the day of the vote, do you believe the River Grove Village president could come to the meeting?
I can talk to him. I know he's got a busy schedule during August, so.
Okay,
or
So-
they could also appoint another designee.
Yeah.
In that
no,
time.
the designee is the chief elected. or
I'm
the
sorry,
chief-
another alternate.
Right, right. Yeah, you're right.
I might be able to come up with an alternate from the village.
Okay, it just needs to come, I need to get that, like, it's gotta be formal in writing on
Yeah.
village letterhead, with all the bells and whistles.
Yeah, so Maura, just a point to remember is that when the meeting minutes or the meeting notice goes out, just flag it for everybody. This is an important historic vote. If you
Oh,
can't be
yeah.
there, no problem.
Yeah,
You
no,
know-
we're planning on calling everyone to make sure we have a good turnout for that.
Sounds good.
How about you, Jennifer? Does that help at all?
Yeah, I'm probably unique. That's our first day back with staff. So myself and all my alternates will be in meetings, like working with our staff. So, but I think the other ones, they either start like that week or the following week. So I'm hoping we'd still get a quorum. That's usually the starting time, so. But if I can, depending on the time slot, I might be able to jump out of a meeting. You're close enough, I can get over, but I just don't want it to prevent a quorum from happening.
Does everyone think that could be an issue? I don't know, before we move
We
ahead.
don't know what the other school districts until we find out, until we ask them. That's the problem now. Why don't we just say tentatively the 17th for sure, unless, Maura, you find that there's too many school districts that won't be able to make it.
Okay,
I mean, let's be honest, we know that it's the schools who tend to not show up. I mean, that's been part of our conversation, right? So if we're able to make contact and get someone there, that would probably be helpful.
thank you.
All right. Any more discussion on number 5?
I'd just like to encourage, maybe we get all the mayors, or as many
Important.
mayors as possible to show up to the meeting, because it is a big vote, and it's something that I think the mayors should be there if possible to vote on. Just a thought.
Yeah. Except for my mayor, because if he shows up, then I got to sit in the audience.
Yeah, but you're still the chairman, so
But that's right. That's right. I'd still be the chairman. He would vote.
he would vote.
I'll ask him if he wants to come too. Any other discussion on 4? So we're leaving it as the 17th, barring some serious issue with the school districts, okay? All right, now we're at number 5. Chicago O'Hare International Airport Terminal Area Plan and Air Traffic Procedures Environmental Assessment and Conformity Determination Review. Aaron?
Actually, I think I'll probably, can you see
I
this?
was all ready to go. She studied, she made you a cheat sheet.
I worked really hard. Cliff notes.
She
these are the
worked
Cliff
really
notes.
hard, so she gets the floor.
So as you know, the terminal area plan report is, I don't know, several hundred or thousand, maybe even pages.
I was told 5,000 pages.
Okay, thanks. Aaron and Ryan helped kind of walk me through the most important points that, the commission really needs to hone in on. So I tried to pull these together and compile them for you all to review. In the past, the commission has provided comments or feedback to the FAA. There is a public comment period and workshops that are scheduled for July 12th and 14th. And then, as I mentioned, the FAA did offer to give a virtual presentation for ONCC members on the 15th. And then the deadline to submit comments is July 18th, which is the following Monday. So like I said, the 12th and the 14th. Then the FAA responds to the comments, and the comments can include questions. They can include, what the ONCC, our opinion, the commission executive committee's opinion on the findings. The final report will be released later this year and will result in a new build out noise contour that will be temporary until the flight quiet contour is finalized. So Aaron, I don't know, I hope I explained that okay, if you have anything you want to include, or Ryan.
No, you're good for now. Keep going.
So got the link to the documents. The main reason of this study is the terminal area plan, which obviously doesn't affect noise a whole lot. What's kind of cutting into this are obviously the changes on the airfield, because there hasn't been a new noise contour since the OMP contour. And then there's also the FAA, as part of this, they kind of bundled this in with the rest of it. They are proposing to permanently implement the 2.5 degree offset approach on runway 10R28 left. That was initially intended to be temporary. So that is the cause of some of the noise changes that we're seeing. So in the report, there are, sorry, let me open something else. There are a couple different noise contours if you do happen to flip through it, just to give you some context. So there is the existing condition is based on 2018. So there's a 2018 no action. There's an interim condition. There's a interim build out. Wait, I'm missing one.
Keep going to the next page. I think you've got them listed.
Okay.
There you go.
There's three.
There they are.
Existing condition, interim condition, and then build out condition. So that's what the analysis focused on, those three conditions. So what I kind of figured out, and Aaron and Ryan helped me come to this. So basically, there's not a lot of change in terms of significant noise impact. A significant change would be 1.5 decibel or greater. There were 227 residences. Wait, that's not the right one. Yeah, 227 with significant impact, but 224 have already been mitigated. And then there are, of the 3 remaining, 2 are slated for mitigation and 1 declined mitigation, like soundproofing. So in terms of significant impact, those are kind of covered. Now there is another group that would be an impact. They are new within the noise contour, but not considered a significant impact. And according to the FAA rules, only significant impacts are required to be mitigated, anything, even if it's just in the noise contour, it would not be considered significant and would not be required to be sound insulated. That would have to be a voluntary program by the CDA, which they have said that they intend to continue with the residential sound insulation program. And they would, seek funding for that through the appropriate sources. That would be, sorry. It's not like finding this number here. But basically, we're kind of, oh, here, it's this 6,277, I believe. Yes, those would be in the new residences within the contour. Likely this contour would be in place for like maybe 2 to 3 years, if that. And all these numbers are draft, so this could all completely possibly, it's possible this could change with the final report once they run all, the environmental analysis and the modeling and things like that. So based on my discussions, I think, the commission's comments being morely focused around just more of a broad and general statement that we strongly support continuation of the residential sound insulation program. I don't think we can really get in too much into the details until we don't really know what the final determination will be. So go ahead, sorry.
Any comments from anyone?
So
So these will be additional houses that we add into the program that weren't before, is that it?
Yes.
Okay.
Pending
Potentially.
pending available funding. So Ralph, that's really important. I'm gonna jump in more if I can.
Yeah, please.
So Ralph, let me recap a little history. So from 1995, when we started RSIP, all the way to 2005, for a 10-year period, we had a voluntary program and we got 5,000 homes done, which was great. When OMP was approved, the FAA made it mandatory that we had to offer it. And the reason why was they said, yes, you can modernize O'Hare and you have, thousands of homes that are newly impacted and you need to offer sound, you must offer sound, insulation. So now we're going back to a prior condition, which is there are more homes in the noise contour, but they are not, eligible for grants, meaning they will not be mitigation homes. They will be like pre-OMP homes. And as far as I know, the CDA intends to continue the program. But one of the things that's very important is, right, that's a new round of funding and that the CDA would need to go to the airlines to secure that funding. And so I just want to caution everybody to say, for now, we plan to continue the program subject to available funding. Hope that makes sense.
Yes.
Yeah, makes perfect sense.
So
Might not be what I want to hear, but it makes
Yeah, it's important that I manage all of your expectations, right? We don't discount the fact that we have to go secure a new round of funding. And I don't want anybody to think that it's a done deal. We haven't, because this document is draft and it's just now on the street, the airlines are seeing it for the first time, as are you, right? And so my coworkers and I can have a sidebar conversation with the airlines to talk about our future plans. But nobody has made a future funding commitment yet. So just be aware of that.
Okay.
And I'll just add to that, Aaron, obviously the airlines, got great partnerships with them and we intend to work with them on a various host of issues that'll come out of the EA.
So this is a lot, even for those of us that are very involved in this. And so I am frustrated that we are getting a presentation at the end of the public comment period, because I know several of us on this call have been trying to take the time to comb through this. And Maura, I sincerely appreciate your executive summary. This is the most comprehensive I've been able to understand it. And so I would like our comments to express that frustration, because I think that the ONCC has established itself as a legitimate resource for the FAA in terms of disseminating this type of technical information, and to not even share that information with us until the end of kind of their public comment period does not allow for us to share that information. It's only those of us that are going to be on the call that have the opportunity to take in what is said. And so I think it's shortchanging the process. I also just want to make sure everyone's clear that even if you submit a question, that doesn't mean you're getting an answer back. And so I know some of us were talking at the open house last week about sometimes there's a misconception that if you ask a question, it has to be addressed. And I don't know that that's necessarily the case. And I do think the ONCC should provide comments as outlined here. I just,
Karen, I think it's important that our questions on the record, whether they answered or not.
yeah,
gotta
I
be-
just, similar to what Aaron said, I think we just have to be clear about setting expectations. That I think a lot of times people submit questions thinking that there's going to be like another round, or that they get a response and then they have another opportunity to comment again. And that's not necessarily how that is going to take place.
No.
Karen, I would anticipate that the FAA, any questions that you pose, I do believe the FAA will attempt to answer. But the way they do that is they will take the period after July, like let's say July, August, September, to collect all the questions, sort them, organize them, and prepare the answers. And then maybe October, November, they're preparing the final document. I do believe they'll answer the questions, but you may not see the answers until the final document is published later in the year.
Yeah, and I think most people think of asking questions as like an iterative process, right? Like I'm going to get clarification and then that's going to inform
Right.
the feedback I'm going to provide. And that is not like, you can put it out there. As I just want it to be clear that if we
Yeah.
ask questions, it might
Correct.
inform the FAA's process. It will not be able to inform our comments or our position on things.
Correct. I would say the only way that you might get a real-time answer is if you're at one of those public workshops on the 12th or the 14th. If it's one of those kind of questions and you ask it in that context, they may actually give you an answer that day, depending on the kind of question and the complexity. But otherwise, yeah, anything submitted in writing will likely be captured and printed in the final document.
Yeah, I have something to say about the open houses that they're planning, that the FAA is planning. I had just heard that because of Cook County's COVID rules, they're considering having both of them Zoom type meetings as opposed to in-house meetings. It seems to me that it could be remedied if they have one of them in Eastern DuPage County. DuPage County doesn't have the same rules as Cook County when it comes to COVID. Do they, Evan?
We do not. And then one of the meetings is at Monty's Banquet Hall, which is on York Road in Bentonville in lovely DuPage County. Come out here and fill your gas tank up. We appreciate your sales tax.
Only one of the meetings was planned to be in person. The other ones was already planned to be virtual.
Okay. All right. Then that's settled already. Okay.
I just wanted to note too, I forgot to mention something that I was looking for, and I think several other people were looking for when they looked at this, was a comparison of the OMP noise contour with the proposed action, and that is not coming. So we're not going to see that. It doesn't exist. It's not going to be shown. So we did ask for it.
Caveat, it does exist. The Village of Bentonville has filed a FOIA request to the FAA for that shaped file, so I could do a beautiful overlay. I got an interesting phone call back from one of our partners at the FAA, explaining to me in very technocratic detail why that's a bad idea. But I said, I'm not withdrawing it. Please fulfill the FOIA request. And then she said that they don't have the shape file. The consultant has the shape file. So they've extended it 10 days, requested an extension. I'm not going to object to the extension, but I've got a feeling they're going to deny it. But the file does exist. They just won't.
What are they worried about? Some sort of misinterpretation or something? What is the deal? Can you
Yes,
explain it?
Sharon?
I can add, Chairman,
Please.
the FAA is adamant that it is not appropriate to compare TAP to ONP. From a NEPA perspective, we compare the project that is TAP to how the airport would look without TAP. So they're very sensitive about comparing new contour to old contour, because that's not appropriate for this kind of environmental analysis.
Well, we'd have to open up a whole new page and just, it has nothing to do with either TAP or OMP. We just want to know. We're not asking this in terms of.
That was my argument. And they
Yeah.
kept, FAA kept pushing back with the NEPA and Part 150 arguments. And I said, that's not what the Village of Bentonville is concerned with. Village of Bentonville is looking at this from a simple policy standpoint of whether we should object or support this plan. To which they were concerned that if the Village of Bentonville put something out, which I would do, would be taken as an FAA document, which I would never suggest it was. So I think FAA is a little off their base on this. I'm going to endeavor to persevere, but I think I'll come up empty, or I'll get the shape file when it's too late.
Keep us informed with that one. When are we going to see the new FAA person?
The same day as the presentation. On the 15th. Immediately following the presentation. I also wanted to make a quick note. There is one school, new school that would be exposed to significant impact, which is in Bensonville. So just to note that it's Evan, can you?
Yeah, it's a school for students with
Special
special
needs.
needs.
Yeah.
I think that it's not, when you think of a school, it's not what you think of it. It is a storefront and the ground floor of an apartment building. It may be much to do about nothing. From what I understand, that lease is coming to an end and the school is looking to relocate. I anticipate they would relocate outside of the noise contour.
Okay.
I have one other question. I'm just going to throw it out. Do you think it would be to our advantage if some of us got together that feel they're being most impacted by the newest proposal and just discuss what we'd want ONCC to say?
You honestly can't do that. You'd be violating the Open Meetings Act.
I was just gonna say that.
Well, it depends how many of us there are.
Correct, as long as you're not tripping quorum in that kind of a meeting. But you've got to be careful. You can't have a quorum of the exec committee or any committee, let alone a quorum of the entire commission. So I do think you can all have offline conversations with each other, but yes, be mindful of how many people are in attendance.
What is a quorum with the executive committee? 4?
Well, right now we have 10 members of the executive committee, which
So a quorum would be
should
6.
be odd, but it's not.
So a quorum would be 6.
Yeah.
So we could have as many as 5 of us get together and we wouldn't trigger the Open Meetings Act.
No, Mr. Chair, isn't the OMA, it's the majority of the majority, right? So.
No,
Am I
your
correct?
bylaws say a majority of the members, not a majority of those present.
Okay.
But it's a good thought. Good job, Ernie.
Okay,
What
do we
maybe
want to
we
have
form-
like a working group maybe, or do you want me to draft something? Like, how do you want to approach this? Sorry, did I cut someone off?
No.
I was just gonna suggest, how about if we just form a committee, to look into it.
think
Working
You-
group?
You can
We're
do that.
running
Your
out of
comments are due
time.
3 weeks from today.
I wouldn't be adverse to be involved with it.
If I start a new committee and it's got 4 members,
It can
Then-
you just be like a
then it's
working
subject
group?
to Open Meetings Act.
It doesn't have to be formal. It could just
No.
be a working group or
Yeah, it
something.
could just be a working group, a non-entity that some of us want to participate in.
I would suggest it's a working group, and I would suggest that you focus on, like Maura's document clearly calls out the communities that are going to be impacted. And so, like, I'd like to be kept apprised, but that's via email. I don't need to be involved in those discussions. And so I think you could do it by reaching out to say who's actively working on this. Like, I know Evan and I have had conversations. I know he's actively working on it. I don't know if like Wooddale and Itasca.
Wooddale
Norwich.
said they were working with SOC on a response.
Well, I think we need to steer very clear of that.
Or
So
that's
maybe-
interesting. Did Mayor Police explain why he chose to do that?
Nope, I just kind of talked to him. It was at the Daytime Noise Committee, subcommittee. I just asked if, he wanted to have like some, like a special meeting or something, or, that where I could invite you or Ryan and we can discuss it further. And he said no, that he was working with SOC and JDA. on what
Does
deals-
he understand that, in fact, because he is a member of ONCC, whatever we say, his name's going to be on it anyway? Whether he participates or not? Does he
No,
understand?
but he's submitting something on behalf of the city of Wooddale.
But he's getting that information from SOC. So I think at this point, like, Evan, are you working with SOC on it? Or are you still persona non grata?
Working is a funny word. Monitoring is probably the best I can do, but I can tell you that SOC is in touch with Mayor Johnson of Elk Grove Village, who is not an ONCC member, and they will likely provide formal comments, recommendations to SOC, but they don't yet have a timeline until they see Dr. Tranny's comments. They'll probably be extensive and will not have much time to run them by me. So they are rogue, as expected.
I think we need to do things independent of SOC. And if Wooddale
Yeah.
is choosing to work through SOC, everybody needs to pick a lane, in my opinion, and not try, because my concern is that if communities who are working with SOC also want to work with ONCC, they won't remain independent, and there's going to be attempts to put whatever Dr. Tranny puts together in our comments, and I am uncomfortable with that. Because I agree with Evan, there won't be time to like review and discuss. We need to come up with our own questions or statements that represent ONCC members' positions.
Well, and
Evan,
that's another question I had too, is this more a function, the comments, more a function of the executive committee? I mean, obviously, again, we don't have time to go to the full membership for approval of the comments.
I'll tell you, and from my standpoint, I feel there's very little all of us are going, whatever ONCC exec were to put out would have to be extremely broad to be inclusive of everyone's position. One of the few things I think we can all agree on is we want a continuation of the residential sound insulation program so long as funding exists. Beyond that, I don't think there can be anything, because you quickly get into Bensonville wants more flights on the north side of the airfield, which will negatively impact northern communities, and northern communities want more flights in the southern airfield. Simple as that. And so I think there's a draft letter that's been circulated to Karen or from Karen regarding asking CDA to take a position on residential sound installation programs so long as funding exists. Karen, if you're willing to put that forward, I think that would be a starting point, because I think that was broad enough that it's not going to ruffle any feathers. Anything else, I think, is going to be difficult to get any consensus on.
I'd like to see that letter too.
Sure, I'll share it.
That's a good suggestion.
Yeah.
I think you're right, Evan. And whatever we're going to say is going to be broad, because frankly, what's going on with TAP right now has very little effect on Niles.
So could we just take the draft letter that I have, modify it for the TAP EA, and then have Maura share it with exec committee and people respond to Maura with questions or comments, and then Maura and Joe can finalize it and submit it?
We could do it that way. Yeah.
Is everyone comfortable with that?
That's fine, because we gotta have something. I want something on the record saying from us.
And I'd like to see it from the standpoint of the ability of communities such as Park Ridge to be able to use the same verbiage, right? So that there's a common thread, because agreed, the northeast and northwest quadrants don't appear to be as impacted, right, as the southeast and southwest. But we'd still like to be able to make public comment, but I don't want to reinvent the wheel, right?
I agree with that.
Okay, so we're okay with it mainly coming from exec.
Yeah, there's no problem with that.
Okay,
We don't have time for the whole committee to approve whatever we say.
okay.
And there's not a single community that I can envision would be objecting
Opposed.
to additional sound insulation.
Right. Right.
Okay, very good. All right. Yeah, I will get that drafted and circulate to the exec members. Thank you.
All right. What else do we have?
I do have something, but I don't know if we can, I just was brought to my attention today. I don't know if it's okay to discuss. It's just about an upcoming meeting. Is that because it's not on the agenda? Can I still raise it?
Yeah, it's not an action item of any type, is it? It's just an
No,
announcement.
it's just information.
All right.
We're gonna have to reschedule we had a strategic planning session scheduled for August 11th, which we will have to reschedule. So I will probably just like send out a poll to the executive committee members for alternate dates, unless we want to go ahead and plug it in on the 17th.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'll still be in Alaska.
all right. Well, I'll send around some dates then. For that, but the meeting on the 11th will be canceled. So you can take it off your calendars.
All right.
Okay.
Are we all clear on what we're going to do with the letter to the FAA, right?
Well, I'm gonna work on a draft and send it around.
Yeah.
So yeah, so we have the FAA presentation on the 15th, and following that meeting, just FYI, Joe and Karen are meeting with the Rebecca is on a temporary assignment, so Joe and Karen are meeting with the interim regional administrator, Elliot Black, following that meeting on the 15th, just FYI.
Okay.
That's it.
All right. Are there any comments from the audience? Is there an audience? If there are no comments from the audience,
Am I the
Go on.
audience?
huh?
Am I the audience? So can I be clear about this? Is the FAA just having two Zoom or a Zoom and a person?
We don't, that's not confirmed, so
That's
let's
not confirmed.
let's not get into that.
Yeah,
Right
so-
now,
so-
according to their scheduling, it is one in-person meeting and one Zoom meeting.
Okay.
All right. Any other questions?
Nope.
What? Come on, you guys. All right. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
I'll move so.
Second.
Got that? All right,
Yep.
call the roll.
Joe Nunzio,
Yes.
Karen Robles,
Yes.
Ray Cooper,
Yes.
Evan Summers,
Yes.
Dennis Ryan,
Yes.
Ralph Sorsey,
Yes.
Brian Gazer,
Yes.
Jennifer Kelsall,
Yes.
Commissioner Reed,
Yes.
Ernie Kosauer.
Yes.
Okay, we're adjourned.
All right,
Thanks,
thank you,
everyone.
everybody.
See you
See you later.
whenever.
All right.